what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. Obviously, today is day one of the Pittsburgh Pro, so you're going to have the Classic Physique Finals tonight. So we're going to talk about that later on in the video. And then tomorrow, Saturday, is the big guest posing that everybody's waiting for with Nick Walker, Big Ramy, Sean Clarita, Hunter Labrada, Samson Dauda. It's going to be a crazy guest posing, but that's going to be tomorrow on Saturday, so we're going to talk about all that stuff later on in this video. But before we get to the Classic Physique results of day one of the Pittsburgh Pro, I want to start out with some other stories here. The first story being this physique update from Jay Cutler, the beginning, officially, of his Fit for 50 transformation, weighing 239.5 pounds. Pretty impressive start, and I believe not only does he want to get super lean and in the best shape of his life since 2013, but he also mentioned he wanted to put on size. I think he said something about 250 being a target number, putting on some size and then cutting down again. Because for the past few years in retirement, Jay had kind of been stripping off size, and I think at one point he got down below even 220. But nonetheless, I think this is a very impressive starting point for Jay Cutler. The fact that this is the beginning of his transformation, I think we're going to see something pretty special from him. And again, I hope it comes at least in the form of a guest posing at that Masters Olympia. We know he's like the ambassador. He's kind of the face of the Masters Olympia. He's made it pretty clear he's not competing in the Masters Olympia, although with the size that he's carrying and this being his starting point, I think he would probably have won based on the lineup that we've seen so far. But we know he's not competing. We know he's not doing that. But I still think we might get to, at the very least, see a guest posing from Jay when he is in that peak shape around August. But overall, very, very impressive starting point for a bodybuilder that's been retired for a decade and is almost 50. This is the beginning of his transformation. I think it's pretty impressive what Jay has been able to maintain over the years, despite the fact that he hasn't competed in so long, and despite the fact that he's busy with however many multiple other business ventures that he's involved in. So shout out to Jay, and I for one, am looking forward to seeing the final version of this transformation for his Fit for 50. Now, next up in the news, a physique update from Michal Krizo today. We know that Michal Krizo is just going to be competing in about a month in mid-June at that competition in Spain. So we're going to be seeing him on stage very, very soon. And that's why we're starting to see him look more dialed in. But still, while he's prepping for this show and while he's, I guess, maybe 5 weeks out at this point, 4 to 5 weeks, I think the thing that people admire about Krizo and like about him and consider to be the mass monster quality that he has is while he dials it in and gets closer to a competition, he is like crazy, blown out, full and round like you've never seen. I feel like we never see him look super flat. We never see him look super depleted or deflated. He always just has these crazy, round, full upper body, his delts, his arms, even his pecs, while at the same time having this really vascular, grainy, and leaned out look. It's very impressive what he's able to do, especially in those final weeks of prep where he still kind of maintains, like I said, just this crazy mass monster, freakish, full roundness. He is like a perfect example of that cartoonish description of a bodybuilder. He has that 3D round cartoonishness while also being in really good shape, and I think that's why so many people are drawn to his physique. And I, for one, I'm still under the impression that we're going to see a much better version of Krizo at the Olympia this year, if he gets there, than what we saw last year. And I, for one, have not completely written him off. I don't really know what the public sentiment is towards Krizo right now after placing outside of the top 10 at last year's Olympia. I think a lot of people were expecting a lot higher for him. And I saw, last week or however many weeks ago it was, the whole Photoshop thing. When that whole thing went down, when people were accusing him of Photoshopping his pictures, I saw quite a bit of negativity and hate towards Krizo. So I'm not really sure what the overall public sentiment or feel is towards his potential. So I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments below, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on Krizo overall, his physique, his potential. What do you think of him as a bodybuilder, and his future at the Olympia, assuming he gets there again this year? Will he do better? Will he crack the top 10 this year? But realistically for me, he hasn't posted anything that shows any signs of him slowing down or his progress slowing down or regressing. And for a guy that wasn't even planning initially on doing the Olympia last year, I still think he placed pretty well for his first Olympia. Keep in mind how quickly he turned pro, won a pro show, and got to the Olympia all in a matter of like a couple of months. All that happened for him. So this year, with a little bit more planning, a little bit more preparation, and a little bit more of a game plan going into the Olympia, and a little bit less of a rush, I'm still expecting to see big things from Krizo. Maybe not quite ready for top 6, but maybe this year will be the year he cracks the top 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, next up in the news. All right, guys, I'm happy to announce that today's video is sponsored by Medical Breakthrough Saunas. I generally would never do a sponsored post on a video where the compensation was just a free product. But I had been in the market for a sauna for so long, and I had wanted to add one to my home gym so badly that I was extremely excited for this integration. So full disclosure, they did give me this sauna. Now, this is a 2-person infrared sauna. You can get one. There will be a link in the description box below, and you can use code NSP200. But look, legitimately, I use this thing for an hour a day, every single day since the day that I got it. It's great for stress relief. It has anti-aging benefits. It's good for your skin. But the main reason that I wanted it was there's lots of studies that show people that use a sauna daily have a marked decrease in all-cause mortality, and specifically relating to cardiovascular sudden mortality, sudden death from like a heart attack or a stroke, if you use a sauna daily. So when the pandemic began, I started to build a home gym. I have this home gym in my basement that you're looking at here with the sauna in it, and I've also got more equipment out in the garage, a squat rack, some free weights and stuff. And I was going to put the sauna out there to save space, but I had to put it inside. It's worth the space that it takes up because I want to get straight out of bed sometimes and get in the sauna because it's a great way to kind of decompress. Or right before bed, get in the sauna, then get straight in the shower. I had to have it in the house because I use it so much. So you can use the link in the description box below to get a sauna, whatever size you need, 1 person, 6 person. They've got Bluetooth speakers, they've got LED lights, infrared technology, easy to assemble. It took me less than an hour. Use code NSP200, link in the description box below. I want to talk about this physique update from Breon Ansley. Obviously, Breon was your former Classic Physique Olympia champ. He came over from 212 when he made the switch to Classic Physique initially, and now that he's been placing kind of consistently outside of the conversation at the Olympia as far as for the win, he announced that 2022 would be his last Classic Physique Olympia, but that he would not be retiring and instead would be switching back to 212. So he posted this posing video, this physique update, where you can see I would say, significantly bigger version of Breon. You can tell he's been bulking. You can tell he's been adding on size, and you can tell that classic physique weight restriction was definitely keeping quite a bit of size off his frame. And that was kind of a thing that he talked about repeatedly, and the people in his camp and his coaches were talking about how that weight restriction was really messing him up at the last minute, and that he was really struggling to make weight for classic physique. And a lot of people felt like that's what was throwing his physique off, and that was what was keeping him out of the conversation after he did initially lose that title. So the question is going to be, in 212, how is Breon going to do? Is he going to be immediately in the conversation for a first call-out or a top 3? Because initially when he was in the 212, to be honest, he wasn't. When he switched over to Classic Physique, he wasn't exactly on top of the 212 division. He was doing shows like 2014 at the New York Pro. He placed 16th in 212. At the Europa Phoenix in 212, he placed 15th. And then it was the following 2 years in 2016 where he switched over to Classic Physique, where he, in 2016, was able to place top 4 at the Classic Physique Olympia. Now, keep in mind, Breon is 43 years old. Even though he looks young, he is in his early 40s, which realistically is not an age where a lot of bodybuilders are at their prime. Keep in mind, the Masters Olympia this year, and that's kind of the point of the Masters Olympia, is for bodybuilders that are no longer in their prime. That's why it's Masters. The age for the Masters Olympia is 40 plus. And I'm kind of surprised we didn't see Breon do the Classic Physique or 212 division there. But he's not getting any younger. So my point is, when he made the switch from 212 to Classic Physique, I don't even know if he ever won a 212 show. And I've seen kind of a mixed bag of reviews on this as well. Some people think that Breon's going to immediately dominate the 212, win a show, get to the Olympia right off the bat. And I've seen other people kind of think maybe he should have retired altogether and not just retired from Classic Physique, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. And I'm not sure about this either. The fact that he won the Classic Physique Olympia, is he then qualified for life for not only the Classic Physique Olympia, but if he wanted to do the 212 Olympia, could he just show up and compete? Because he's an Olympia champ in another division. I don't know if he needs to qualify for 212 or not if he wants to do the 212 Olympia. Those rules still really haven't been clearly defined or clearly established. If a guy that won the Olympia in one division wants to switch over, are they just allowed to do that? I'm assuming, though, that Breon would probably go the route of trying to qualify by winning a show. Personally, though, I'm hesitant to think that at 43, he's going to make a giant splash in 212, but I guess we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Breon switch back to 212. Will it be successful? Will it not? or should he maybe retire from competing altogether? So now let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Pro Classic Physique division that just wrapped up. The finals just wrapped up a few minutes ago. So Michal wound up taking the victory in the Olympia qualification here, but it was the top 2 battle between Michal and Brazil's Eric Wildberger. That was the most talked about portion of this show. So again, tomorrow on Saturday will be the big guest posing with all the men's open guys, but tonight I would say the main event that you guys were interested in was this classic physique part. Both of these top 2 guys looked absolutely fantastic. I think a lot of people are talking now about Brazil's Eric Wildberger. I think honestly, even though he wound up in second here, striking similarities between him and I think Urs Kalsinski's physique. I think they had very similar structures, very similar weak points in the arms and the biceps. Their strengths, obviously, both being conditioning. I think, here in the next couple of years, Eric Wildberger could prove to be a pretty big threat in classic physique. This was a pretty big show for him to be top 2. And again, he was narrowly defeated by Michal de Boel, who has been, qualified for the Olympia for a number of years now. He's been a top guy in classic physique. So for Eric to push him, being a newer guy from Brazil, I think was pretty impressive. And the fact, Brazil is really starting to turn out some of the most impressive athletes overall in the IFBB, but classic physique specifically, Brazil seems to be quite the hub for classic physique talent. You guys obviously know Ramon Dino winning the Arnold Classic this year, pushing Sebum for second at the Olympia. Brazil is really starting to prove to be kind of a hot spot for classic physique talent. And Eric Wildberger, I think, proved that here at the Pittsburgh Pro. So a hell of a top 2 battle here in Pittsburgh. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this outcome. I think a lot of people could have had it going either way. I personally saw Michal de Boel as the victor here, but a lot of people making a case that Eric Wildberger should have won. And honestly, I could see it either way. And speaking of Brazil being a hub for bodybuilding, GoodVito, the Russian bodybuilding phenomenon, who'll be making his pro debut in September of this year, has finally announced his new coach will be Krizo, who has obviously taken Andrew Jack to new heights at the Arnold Classic this year. So it'll be interesting to see what Vitaly and Chris are able to put together for the 2023 season, if they can get him a 2023 Olympia qualification. GoodVito obviously has been one of the guys that we've been talking about for a length of time now. We've been talking about GoodVito since all the way back when Nick Walker was still an amateur. I remember talking about GoodVito, Michael Krizo, and Nick Walker all in that same year. And obviously you guys have seen what Nick Walker has been able to do in a very short amount of time. And I think GoodVito, now that he's turned pro and he's going to be competing as a pro, we're going to find out very quickly whether or not he can win a pro show, whether or not he can get to the Olympia, how he's going to fare in a lineup of some of the top IFBB Pro Open guys. Maybe he does really well, maybe he doesn't, but I feel like this is going to be one of the more exciting storylines to follow this year as we get closer to September, is how well and how big of an impact will GoodVito be able to make right off the bat in the IFBB Pro League. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about GoodVito and Krizo working together. Make sure you like and subscribe if you have not already, and as always, I love you guys, I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.